So Selena just pointed out something really significant, and when becoming a teacher, I'm just going to work on my alignment here for a second. When becoming an AerialYogaPlay teacher, it's important to let people know that this is a pretty intense and powerful practice, and you will be transformed in the process. And why is it so intense to be working with these two major hubs of the body? And what is holding there? Because some people like it when you dig into them, and some people don't. They don't want to be poked, right? So it's really important not only to give lots of variations, lots of support, like bringing the leg loops all the way up when you get into skydiver and butterfly, and something so opening and intense, right? So exposing, so vulnerable, so that they can work up to it. And some people, it's okay if they're not ready for that kind of opening, or that's what they wanted. They wanted to just, get a hard booty, whatever. Like there's a lot of classes that do that hard body boot camp, blah, blah, blah. That's not what we're doing here. We're doing a lot of play, a lot of exploration, a lot of experiencing the body in the new way. And I want to make it as inviting as possible, but I also like the intensity. That's just me. But it's good to let people know, this can be super gentle, or it can be really powerful and intense, and just kind of listen to your body and go as far as it feels good. And usually if people, most of the time, if somebody has a really strong pattern happening in the body, the first time is going to be like so hair blowing back experience that they might not come again, and unless you have that conversation. And I've had several teachers, without me even cueing them, say, I tell people, just try it a second time no matter what your first experience was. Like they say that in the first class at the beginning. Just make a commitment to try it again no matter what your first experience was, because I promise you it'll change. And it changes very quickly. People's nausea or wooziness, all of that is the surface charge in their emotional body off-gassing that they've been storing, and nothing else has been addressing it. We're addressing it, So it's just really good in reference to what Selena said about how amazing it is, and how some people just don't like it because they're not used to this kind of pressure on their body, and it's bringing up whatever memory, whatever cellular experience that they stored, usually emotional, that, they stored it for a reason. They were trying to feel it. So, especially matters of the heart, especially around creativity and grounding and being really present in their second chakra. Women in power, it's like we could just do a whole series on accessing our feminine power through this kind of movement, and really what it means to access our core power, which is really exciting to me. Okay, so we're going to practice our plumb line. Let's just do it right now, because you guys were listening to me, but I was noticing your pillar. Both of you guys were really funny, just so you know, in that moment. Even after that whole conversation, there was no one pillaring up.
No one pillaring up.
Now let's get our pillar on, right? Standing in the center of the mat. So you might have to move your mat forward so that you're right in your circle. See if this is how we align it. Hold up. So align it from here, honey. Come here. So you pull the swing down, and you make sure that you're right in the center. So you have to measure it from the side and measure it from the front and back. So it should be right underneath your swing. Okay? And the swing's going to be behind us. So let's get into training wheels. We're going to do X Factor. We're going to work on head and neck. Let's do X Factor and training wheels. Training wheels is the more, we'll just say, restorative version. X Factor is one of our biggest dynamic poses, but it can also be a therapeutic. So I like to teach that when releasing the head and neck. So we can't really work on the neck without working on the shoulders. Does that make sense? It kind of inserts here. And the traps, this is an area for tension and stress. So our emotional stress sits here, right? So that's what we're digging into when we do these poses. So just know, it'll bring relief, but it can also stir up a lot for people that they're storing in this part of the body. Okay, so let's inhale, open our arms to the sky, looking up. Exhale, hug the swing, getting the swing nice and low on the back, right? So behind the sternum, so we want to push it down so it's at the lower ribs, right? So right behind the sternum is where we want the swing to land once it's fully stretched. Now, usually the swing is way too high. That's above the shoulder blades, the tips of the shoulder blades. Therefore, it's pinching the underarms, and therefore it's very uncomfortable. So we really want to find that lift of the heart and where the position of the sternum is. Once we lean back, we're going to come through our sumo. Forearm press is going to help us keep the hook. Slide on in, 12 o'clock, and then walk it out 10 and 2, just reviewing what we learned yesterday with our sumo. So even here, now that we know what we know, are your hips completely dropped? The dynamic tension, right? So you can drop your hips even more. There you go. Cool. And you want the swing to actually hook the wings. You don't want it up that high, right? So you want it back where it was. And then push your forearms forward strongly so it hooks. Now most people are leaning back here. You don't lean back. See, my hands are right where my head is. It's not this. Okay? So we drop our pubic bone back and down to get the head directly over the body. We don't ever have to look down for anything, unless you're looking at your outline for something, but always look up. Just practice that for today, looking up in all the poses. What does that feel like? Okay? Notice the position of the chin when you look up. Look up with your eyes and not your neck. It's really quite funny to me, but when I say look up, I mean your eyes, not your whole head, right? And just try it. Notice what happens when you look up, even slightly. Okay? Good. Let's come through, always hugging the swing. Let's come through Chilaxin. Use your core, lift. Get the leg loop behind the knee. Okay, we're gonna work with core later. Let's get these on, one way or another. And let's play just from Chilaxin with our Chilaxin arms, okay? So interlacing the fingers, it's not like this. We're not touching gently on the edges of our neck. I see a lot of women do that. I'm like, no. Strong clasp where you can't really pull your hands apart, right? And your elbows are directly out in a T. They're not like this. They're not past the T where you're straining the shoulder joint. They're directly out in a T. Okay? And then the hands are behind the head. So your thumbs are down your neck, and the nape of the hand, that little fatty spot, is at the occiput. Now even here, I want you to practice pulling straight up and out on a diagonal. So we never collapse back in a U shape where the crown of the head would be pointing towards the middle of the wall behind you. It would be up and down on the diagonal. So back top corner of the room, you're pulling up and out. And that tractioning is going to feel really, really good. Right? So the sides of the hands are pulling on the skull. So back top corner of the room, Jade. Yeah. Lift the chin just slightly. Yeah, like that. That's it. You know, like this is something you're just going to have to play with to really find when we get into the fine tuning. It can be a little tedious, you know, to break a pattern in the body, but it's really important to feel it. So this could be enough to release the head and neck. Can you guys feel the difference? Focusing on all those details. We're going to get into yoga massage later, but I want you guys to stay there for just a second so you can feel how strongly I pull up and out. So don't collapse or release when I come over. Stay exactly as you are. And this is one of the things that I'll teach you guys is how to give somebody a little adjustment, where you come over and put your hands over theirs and you pull up and out. Now keep that position after I let go. Doesn't that feel good? Mm-hmm. So, come back, right there, okay? Elbows can be a little wider if it's comfortable in your shoulder. And then I'm gonna come right underneath here. And I'm gonna come all the way back, up and out. Lift your chin, there, right there. That's the pose. See if you can keep it. Your chin's tucked in a little too much without me helping you, okay? There it is. How does that feel?
So good.
Yeah. so much relief comes from this little space here of the cervical spine. The head
You will
is,
show us how to do that
Yeah.
later on each other, that's good.
yeah, today. I promise. Yeah, so we're gonna learn 2 yoga massage routines, and we'll do that between 5:30 and 6 actually as practice with one another. One is cocooning, and then the other one is chillaxing. And these really simple techniques of coming over and giving somebody a little lift up and out, I promise you, they will book a private session with you after they're like, oh my God. Because I tell people, if you massage in the swing in these different yoga poses, you're gonna get like 10 times more relief than if you're just trying to do it on your own. And breaking patterns, if we could break them, we would have. Do you know what I mean? So it usually helps to have some other hands on you to release whatever programming is there. You know, there's usually an energetic pattern. And then later on in module 3, I know I keep hinting to this, but I'll teach you guys how to imprint different sacred geometric patterns into the body, which will hold the new alignment, which is what I do in my quantum healing practice. So that's a whole nother level. But that's exactly what we can do. Like the chakras have patterns. They're very specific. So there's certain geometries in the body that we can infuse to hold a new pattern. Right? That's how we change our posturing and the energetic flow. But for now, all you have to do is help them release whatever. Can you feel? Put your hands, figure out where your ears are. There you go. And I'm just assuming you guys have never done body work or anything like that before. So just work with me. So here are your ears. If you go straight down from your ears, you have these amazing muscles, right? It's like sternum, mastoid, whatever they're called. Yeah, the SCL, SEM. So sometimes I'll just call them the scalenes, although the scalenes are right next to them. These muscles work really hard if your head is coming forward. And then if you try to bring your head back, notice how much that they have to engage, right? So most people are either coming too far back or too far forward. And there's a place where these muscles can have kind of like an optimal function. So we're retraining these muscles because there's a collapse in the front of the neck and an overuse in the back of the neck. And it's really important to just understand that we're changing all that with the position of the head. And the head, 8 pounds hanging off of the top, is straining the C7 joint. When people have that hump where the spine kind of meets the shoulders, that shouldn't be there. There shouldn't be a big hump where the C7 joint is. That's an issue. And if that is there, that means their spine is trying to hold up their head instead of it buoyantly sitting perfectly stacked on top. So that's why this position is so helpful. So put your hand on your C7 joint when you're pushing your head back into your other hand and notice that it softens. Can you feel how that little hump softens? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's what we're doing. All by just doing chillaxing arms. Isn't that amazing? That's a lot for one pose, one position, and that's why I use chillaxing arms in almost all of the sequences where my mantra is hips heavy, heart open, head relaxed. That basically is the quick go-to for alignment. Does that make more sense now? Yes, I've been repeating that over and over again. We need to lift the sternum and drop the hips simultaneously to get the dynamic tension, which will allow the spine to traction out of the pelvis and create space for the vertebrae, all by just saying hips heavy, heart open. Right? And then head relaxed back into the hands is the only way that we can allow the heart to be the place that we're moving from, keeping the crown of the head moving up and out, and releasing the pressure on the C7 joint. All just by relaxing the head into the hands. We haven't even gotten into the shoulder girdle and rearranging the posture there. Okay? Okay, that's enough for that lesson. Let's reach for the knees, light up the leg loops as high as we can. Bicep curl, come on up. Find your pillar right away. So find your pillar right away. Do it again. Let's do it again, Jade. So your pillar isn't something that you end up at. Your pillar is something you have the entire time. This is really key, okay? So let's try it again, keeping our vertical axes. We reach as high as we can for the leg loops. We bicep curl, come on up to stand. Yes. Do you see how different that is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's not like our pillar is just something that we do at the beginning and end. Every transition, we're thinking about this pillar. So I would call it like a plank, right? When we were in Superfly and everything, where you have to keep your pillar. When we're in Superfly, we're in a horizontal axis, but it's still the same pillar. And if we lose our pillar, we lose our strength, right? We lose the pose. So it's really, really important, even in the transition. So thanks for doing that again. Okay, so when we go into training wheels, so we're standing a little bit further back from the center of the mat so you can lean back, right? So I'm going to take the swing out from behind the back, and I'm going to let it be around the neck. In this pose, I'm going to keep my chin neutral, okay, lean back, see there's tension on the swing. So you have to use your little suction cups for your feet. If you can't suction your feet down, you can always spray the mat. So in this pose, we're going to hold on to the swing, okay? So the hands are supporting our weight. And then in this position, we're simply going to lift the chin and then tuck the chin and let the swing massage out, just like a gentle tractioning on the connective tissue. I want you to focus on, like I like to think of the swing as like a second skin. And I want you to focus on stretching the fascia. And the cervical spine can be very tender, like we talked about, so I want you to be very gentle, even more gentle than you think you need to be. So the swing can just give a very sweet massage to this part of the body. Does that feel good, everyone? Yeah. Okay, so now what we're going to do is now we're going to support more weight. We're going to bend our knees nice and easy, drop our hips just slightly. So now when we tuck our chin into our chest, the swing is kind of wrapped around the ears, right? And we're letting our neck stretch. And then we're going to inhale, lift the chin. And I like to pull on the swing to help with the tractioning. Maybe even a little from side to side if that feels good. Exhale, drop the chin, and just use your breath to make really slow, gentle transitions. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling, drop. And obviously, there's a lot of blood and oxygen that flows to the brain through the neck. So we're not trying to pinch off any of those arteries. We're more allowing there to be space for all the connective tissue to open up. So if anything feels uncomfortable, switch it up. Support your weight with your hands, but see if you can get a nice stretch. Okay? Does everybody feel good?
Yes.
Some people love this, some people don't. So if somebody doesn't love it, just don't stay here for very long. You know? So you really want to drop your chin into your chest for this version when you're tractioning. Yeah, there you go. And then undulate, then you can lift. But don't stay with your chin lifted the whole time because that could strain the cervical spine. It's safer to have the swing all the way up by the occiput and stretching. Good. Okay, we're going to bring our feet back down to the ground. Usually hip distance is good. You can make it a little bit wider than the hips too. And then we're gently just going to rock from side to side. Okay? So I'm pressing my legs straight and back, keeping tension on the swing. And I'm just letting my body rock. And then this is going to turn my head from side to side. Now when I do this, I'm getting into the scalenes and the sternomastal, whatever.
SCM.
Yeah, thank you. SCM. That very long, arduous word.
Jade, do you want me to spray your mat, or is it sticky enough for you?
Yes, could you spray it?
Yeah, you can always make it more sticky. Typically what I learned how to do is just rip with my feet in this way where it kind of works, but you have to use the magic as well. Or use the spray.
Magic or spray?
Yeah, magical spray. So after we spend some time just gently rocking from side to side, maybe pause at the edges. So the momentum is turning your head. You're not actually turning your head from side to side. Does this make sense to everybody?
Yes, I feel like I'm kind of doing bad bend a little bit. Is that?
Yeah, well, you have to find the right position of your feet. See, I push my feet all the way back, so I'm more on a diagonal. Walk your feet back. Back, 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 until you're not in so deep of a back bend. Does that feel better?
But then I can't. No, it's like I'm doing an ab workout. Maybe this could be higher.
Well, there's lots of different ways you can do it. If you feel most comfortable, you can actually just stay hanging. But yeah, you have to get the right ergonomics for your body. Find the right position of the feet, find the right position of the hands. So the hands are holding onto the swing the whole time instead of the leg loops because you're supporting your head. Yeah, some of the newer swings are shorter, so it's easier to find. Some of the older swings get longer, so it's a little harder to find. Yeah. I just changed the geometries so everything matches the Fibonacci sequence and golden ratios when it's stretched out. I used to design the swings so they were like in perfect harmonics with the nautilus, the nautilus shell of the universe, and then when they stretched out, you could tell it wasn't exactly the right geometry anymore. Like,
So now you design them to be in perfect geometry when they stretch out?
yes. Yeah. So reverse engineer, how short and fat do they need to be in order to be perfect once they're stretched out? So it's just something that we play with. But yeah, we want to make sure that the back is happy and there's no strain on the lower back. Okay. The last part, let's just come back to sit, just so no one's straining or feeling like they're in too much of a back bend. Then we're going to pause at the edges, and I like to pull the opposite side. So I'm bringing ear to shoulder, and I'm pulling the opposite side of the swing over, which is kind of digging into the right side of my neck. I think it feels amazing, but some people, again, might not like the digging. So let's try left ear, left shoulder, chin is neutral, and then pull the right side of the swing away. So you're creating a little bit more traction and tension there. You guys feel what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
Good. So just kind of dig in, play around with it, see what feels good. It definitely is very intense for people to dig into the neck, but it will work. It will release the patterns and the tension that's hanging out there. And then let's just end with the nodding, where our chin comes to our chest and we drop our hips. And then we lift, arch, and then exhale, drop. So yeah, I like to assist the swing as much as possible. I've been doing this new jaw release, hot off the presses, where I actually squeeze the swing together with my hands clasped, tuck your chin in, and let it stretch your jaw. It's pretty intense, but really good.
That feels similar to when you grab my
Yeah.
neck and pulled it. Yeah.
Exactly. For people that have jaw tension, they'll probably really like that. But again, just see what feels good. Reach up, grab for the swing, plant your feet down in the center of the mat. Swing will go behind the back again. Woo!
Wow.
Notice what that feels like. Just take a pause. Usually I'll get an adjustment or something will move because, does anybody go to a chiropractor here? Yeah. Chiropractors adjust the bones, right? And their philosophy is if you just keep adjusting the bones, the rest of the body will kind of respond to that. And I'm all about alignment, but the connective tissue is going to pull it right back out, which is kind of why you have to go 3 times a week forever. So if we release the connective tissue that is creating the misalignment, then the spine can go back into its proper position. How does that feel?
I feel like my bite changed.
Yeah. Yeah, all of this jaw tension has a lot to do with the position of our head, right? And then most people, the occiput is completely stuck. It's kind of like jammed. So lifting up and out like that will release the occiput, which changes your vision because the occipital, the nerve goes through here. That's why people get headaches. right? It goes right up, and these are the bladder meridians, so there's a lot of interconnectivity there. What are you feeling? What do you notice?
I just feel much lighter, more buoyancy in my head.
Yeah, it's like the head has an opportunity to sit on top of the spine in a new way. Now it has a little bit of lift. Even if it's like a millimeter of space, that's pretty huge for the vertebrae, right? So we're not trying to rip the head off, and we can obviously do the same thing upside down into an inversion. So why don't we just try it since we're here? And then we're gonna end this sequence and go into X Factor. So we can get into our inversion from standing, this position. So what I do is I take my forearms, do it with me, and I press the swing down so it's hitting my hips. And then my hands happen to hang out right here at the front of the leg loops. I'm gonna walk my feet to the front of the mat. I'm gonna lean back, I'm holding on, remember your pillar, right? I lean back, I bring my legs wide and around, and I keep leaning so my head points down, which means my tailbone points up. And then I can release my hand holds and I'm upside down.
Oh,
I know, isn't that fun?
yeah.
So we get to play with that lever. So same thing with the chillaxed arms. Interlace your hands behind the back of the neck, and then just gently pull straight down and start to wiggle the head gently from side to side to get a little bit of space in there. Usually I also like to put my hands over my ears and pull straight down and do a little stretch from side to side. So see what feels good here in terms of stretching the neck, but we obviously can release the whole spine by hanging upside down. One of the most powerful poses that we can do. Now the swing is helping us traction the spine out of the pelvis to create space for the vertebrae, which immediately releases the lower back. Right? You guys feel that?
Uh-huh.
But gravity is also stretching our neck and releasing our neck. So let's imagine what it would be like to have leg loops on our shoulders, pulling our shoulders up as the neck is hanging down, right? Just like the swing is doing on our hips. And we're gonna move into that position next, which is what I call X Factor. When you're ready, reach up and grab for the swing, bring your legs wide and around, and come to sit. You should land it in chillaxed if all went well. If you lost the leg loop, go ahead and put that on. Whew, so same thing now, chillaxed arms, hips heavy, heart open, head relaxed back into your hands, but pulling up and out, tractioning the occipital ridge. Ooh. So that should feel really different, huh? Okay. So we're going to come down through your sumo squat. Pay attention to the position of the head, chest lifted, your pillar, plumb line, all of those things. Okay, even in this position with the hands in front, feel how when your head comes back in line with the body, because most people are head diving, right? It allows your heart to lead, and how different that feels to keep the head directly over the body in this position. It's just so simple that we can find our pillar in a pose like sumo. This is all we really need to do in order to change our posture. We're going to talk about the shoulders and how we're rolling the shoulders down the back in this position and strengthening the underbelly of the arms, which is also releasing. So if we're pulling our lats down the back, our traps are soft, right? Just put your fingers on your traps as you pull your lats down your back and just notice that it softens. So we're using one muscle group or the other. Most people are using too much trap and no lat. So this forces us to use our lats. That's why it helps rearrange our posture. Does it make sense to everybody?
Well, yeah, but I don't feel like I'm using my